Growing up in beautiful southeastern Kentucky, in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains, was so wonderful. Beautiful, beautiful rolling hills, beautiful forest. A place that was so beautiful, but yet so poor. People lived in farms. They farmed a lot of their land. They grew big gardens. They had cattle. But the green grass and the rolling hills just would go on forever. I remember being at grandmother's. It was a beautiful place. The country was beautiful, it was breathtaking, but yet there was a sadness to it. I always wanted to get away from it all, and I always said, I'll never leave here. We had beautiful waterfalls there. My cousin and I would pack a picnic lunch and go and sit out by the waterfall. And I would say, I'm going to get married here one day. I'm going to have my wedding here. We would go out to the waterfall during the hot summer and just let the mist from the waterfall just spray us. Further on down the creek, we would get in and swim. We had lakes, rivers, all over the place. I spent a lot of time on the lake, the river when I grew up. Back in Kentucky, we went camping a lot and spent a lot of times outdoors. Camping was probably one of our favorite things to do, one of my dad's favorite things to do. Sometimes we would go and be there for days, even weeks. We didn't mind. We would swim and play in the water and swing from grapevines in the trees and just have a good old time. Roasted marshmallows around the fire. It was always so beautiful in the morning or the evening. You could see the fog dancing on the river, on the lake. So mysterious. Sometimes I could sit and almost feel or hear the Native American Indians that inhabit this land many years ago, running through the forest. We have found arrowheads, all kinds of different artifacts in the area. There is a very spiritual feel to this area in Kentucky. That spiritual feeling comes from my ancestors that was massacred at Yahoo Falls in Kentucky. My sixth great grandmother was Princess Corn Blossom. A lot of southeastern Kentucky was mountainous, but you also had your valleys, or we called them bottoms. They would get flooded out easily. Not all was poor and desolate there. We had nice subdivision homes, and we had really nice farm homes, especially grandmother's house. We would sit out on her front porch in the mornings and rock back and forth in the rockers, have our coffee. Me and my sister would spend a lot of time there. I spent the most of the time there with grandmother. Grandmother had the most beautiful yard. Grandfather kept the grass cut at all times. Grandmother kept me in church. We were a Bible-believing church family that went to church, and grandmother kept me in the prayer line a lot when I was a child. I was very sickly. I'm very grateful that I was brought up in the church. I owe my faith to Jesus Christ because He sustained me and He kept me. We had a lot of moonshining that went on in the area, the county. I would have to say that probably it was going on in all of the backwoods. They loved to drink, make their moonshine, bootleg it, and they loved their guns. A lot of people use their guns for hunting, but we also was very strong in the Second Amendment there. A lot of families grew up so poor, without electricity and running water. My family was fortunate. We had running water and electricity. We always planted a garden every year. I can remember working in the garden, getting up early in the summer mornings with my mother and going out as the sun rose and helping to weed the garden. My dad was a hard worker. My dad held many jobs. He loved to go hunting. He was also a logger. He had a big red logging truck that he used. Dad loved to go hunting. Deer hunting. They did that quite a bit. Was always afraid of guns. I still am, but I think it's the noise that scares me. One of our main staples growing up was planting a lot of potatoes. I can remember having a lot of fried potatoes and pinto beans. So when we planted our garden, there was always an abundance of potatoes and onions. I think that the one meal that we had most of the time was pinto beans, cornbread, fried potatoes and onions, and we would cut up some cucumbers and tomatoes out of the garden. And growing up, we got sick of that because we had a lot of it, but I like it now. I like it now. But that's all we had to eat. We were very poor, but we were also very fortunate and very blessed because there were people in our area in southeastern Kentucky that didn't even have a home. They lived down by the creek banks in an old school bus. Yes, my father was a coal miner. I think after I was in the 3rd or 4th grade, the local mine there was hiring, and he was able to get hired on. And we didn't think about how dangerous the job was. All we could think about was, there was going to be good money made and money coming into the house so that the bills could be paid and so that we can have food on the table and so that we can have school clothes and shoes. So when Dad started working at the coal mines, we had more money, yeah, and we were able to get a couple more things. Life got better around home. He wasn't out drinking, out hunting all the time, being away from home. Instead, he was working. But when deer season did come in on the weekends, he would go out in his deer stand and go deer hunting. That is a very popular sport in the area. It's not only just a sport, but that's the way of life, is hunting there. That's how people got their food. They would take and have the deer processed, and sometimes they would share it with family members. And they would take the meat and put it up in the deep freezer, and they would have meat all winter long. Another thing that we did was we fished a lot. We ate a lot of fried fish as well. We were lucky because behind our house on our land we had a big creek. It was beautiful. Well, we would go down there fishing a lot. You could catch catfish, maybe some bass. Another thing what we did during the summertime is when we would go camping, we would go to the lake. We would have a blast swimming in the lake. And at this lake, a lot of people had nice houseboats and power boats. Our uncle one time went camping with us, and he had a boat, and we used it and went out on the lake and used it and pulled a inner tube behind us, and it was fun. Oh, but the days of having a beautiful garden and the harvest was abundant. We were very blessed. Very, very blessed. We would also have family get-togethers and grill out, have a family dinner, a picnic when we, do it when we went camping, and those were some good times. But I will tell you, also was going camping and swimming in the lakes and the creeks and the rivers. It was awesome, but there was also a dark side to growing up in that area in my life. My father was an alcoholic, and that's not the only thing that happened. So as a little girl, I used to lay in my bed and cry, and I was so scared, always. My father was a mean drunk. He was. It was scary for us all. We lived down this beautiful country road. I used to walk it all the time. It was beautiful. The country road led back to the house. Growing up as a teenager, I would always walk to my other family's homes. We all lived so close together, and that was my only source of, I guess you could say, being around people until I went to college and, of course, when I was in high school. But all family members lived very close together on our land, so it was just so beautiful living in the woods. Sometimes I didn't feel safe in my own home, sometimes I did. It was nature, the beauty around me, that kept me feeling safe. Talk about if walls could talk. I would pray, lift my eyes up to God and pray so much on a daily basis, asking Him to help me get through the things that I'm going through in life. I always felt like God was punishing me because of what was happening to me. I was in such denial. I shoved so much down and just put it into the back of my mind. But living in the country, living out in I call it the sticks, it was so healing. I spent a lot of time in the woods as a child, even as a teenager, right before I left home. I would dance around in the forest, and I would be in my own little world. I would go to a certain place in my mind. This was my way of coping. This was a coping mechanism for me and a healing thing for me. I felt very connected to the forest. It was my healing place. I am still connected to it to this day. It took away all of the pain, all of the sorrow. It helped me to forget. I have seen some beautiful sunrises. I have heard the birds sing their joyous songs to our Heavenly Father in the mornings. I have heard the wind blow through the trees. I have heard God's voice on the wind. I am so thankful to have been able to get out in nature. I'm very blessed and fortunate to have had that in my life, because what I went through was not great. Another thing I am happy and blessed for is having my grandmother, spending a lot of time with her at her house. That took me away. That helped me to have my mind on other things. My sister as well would come at times. It was mostly me. And to this day, although my grandmother is no longer with us, when I am stressed and remembering things, I go back to that happy place at her home. Even as a little girl, my brother and I would play through the woods, hide and seek. We would build forts. And I used to pretend that it was my real home, that I would live there forever. I always had a dream of having a home in the middle of the forest. My brother was the only boy in the family. usually did his own thing, but we did have times that we would play in the woods together. I always felt like he was Mom's favorite. That's okay. He was an only son. As an adult now, my brother is no longer with me. He committed suicide. And I think I know why. In the fall, it brings such beautiful colors of the leaves in our area. It's the most beautiful color I've ever seen. High school years were very hard for me. I always felt like I didn't fit in. I felt like nobody liked me. I felt like people made fun of me. I was kind of an introvert. I was quiet. I didn't have that many friends. People would call me Spacey Tracee in high school. I really wanted friends. I really wanted to be liked. I wanted to be popular. Academically, it was hard for me. I struggled because I could never focus on anything. My mind was just racing all the time. It was all over the place. I had a hard time in math. Math was very hard. Yeah, we had a pretty stern teacher too. One fun thing that I did only a few times, because I was never allowed to go anywhere or go to friends' houses and stuff. I did go to the skating rink a couple of times. That was the place where everybody hung out and had a good time. But I was never allowed to do it. But there was maybe 2 or 3 occasions out of the whole entire time I was a teenager that I went. And when I did go, I had so much fun. When I left high school and went on to college, I started making friends, and there's when I found my first love. We got married after a year of college. I thought I couldn't live without him. Little did I know, he just married me because I was pregnant. He loved me in his own way, I guess when it was convenient for him. Another great memory I have of growing up is grandmother making these wonderful dinners for the whole family. We would get together for Christmas dinner, Thanksgiving dinner, or just for family reunions. It was the best food, best cooking I've ever had. I miss my grandmother so much. I loved her so much. People just don't understand what she meant to me growing up. She was my protector. So after I got married to my first husband, he joined the military. He did that and retired, but after 17 years of marriage, we divorced. There was a lot of family fighting. He was very strong-handed with my oldest son, and I saw how he just broke my son's spirit. We both parented differently. He believed in spankings, and I did not. I believe that every child needs to be treated differently. I don't believe in spankings. I had the heck beat out of me as a kid, and I did not want my child to go through that. Just think that my son wanted to be heard. He just wanted to have time with his dad. His dad was gone all the time, either on military TV-wise, or he was off playing golf all the time. There was very little things that we did as a family. Well, yeah, we would go on vacations, but to go visit his family and stay with them for maybe a summer. And that was pretty stressful. But things got really out of hand with him. He was a binge drinker. He loved to drink on the weekends when he wasn't on duty. And he could go through a bottle of Jack in a weekend. His drinking reminded me of what happened to me as a child. It always triggered me. It always brought back those memories. It's hard to talk about this. So, needless to say, I tried to leave him 2 times in this marriage. Always came back because the first time I tried to leave, I took the kids with me. He found me. He got the kids, basically kidnapped them for a year. I didn't see them. That traumatized me. I went back because I wanted to be with my kids, not him. That was very traumatic for me. Very traumatic. He continued on to drink. He didn't change. I just learned to mind my P's and Q's. He never laid a hand on me, but he was verbally and emotionally abusive to me. He was a narcissist on top of being an alcoholic. He was always right. Things always had to be done his way because his way was right. He treated me like I was one of the children. I always felt like, what did I do? I did something wrong. This is my fault. I had to be good. I had to make him happy. I felt crazy. Nothing I did was good enough. And I'm sure my oldest son felt that way. And my youngest son when he was born. It was a chaotic household. I worked very hard with trying to control my environment because I felt like I had to be the peacekeeper. I had to keep the chaos under control. After 17 years, we divorced, we separated. It took me over 3 years to get a divorce from him. Had never felt so alone and devastated in my life. I felt like I was mourning a death. I had to fight him for custody of our children. This lasted for many years. It took its toll on me. I had numerous breakdowns in that marriage. I had to be hospitalized a couple of times. When my son got older, he got to be verbally abusive. I tried to cry out for help and to tell people. Nobody wanted to listen because I had people tell me, you must like it, you're still there, or you must have done something, it was your fault. So I just learned to keep my mouth shut. I felt like I was being silenced. I couldn't trust anybody. I couldn't trust anybody to tell anybody anything. I have never felt so alone. So I got divorced and I moved on very quickly. I met another man. He was military too. And I thought, oh, this is the beginning of a new life, a new happy life. Oh, this is the man I needed to marry all along. He was in the military when I met him on active duty. Ironically, at the same place that I divorced my last husband. I fell hard for this guy. I believed everything he told me. And it was like, this is what I needed all of my life. Where has he been? But I met him at the military base. He was a military cop. And I was just on cloud 9. So happy. And we got married. I ended up being able to get on my feet after the divorce from my first husband. I got my own home, and we ended up sharing custody of the kids. And then I let him move in. Him meaning my new love, my fiance. I was ready to start a new life, ready to start all over and just have a clean slate. But yet I still wasn't dealing with what happened to me as a kid or all the other traumas that I've been through. I just wanted to be a good wife. Wanted to make him happy. Got married on the beach. My dream wedding. I was scared that day and I said, am I making a mistake? Just like everything else, I just put it in the back of my mind. I didn't deal with it. I thought that I could help this man and show him what love was all about and what having a family was all about. Because later on, I found out he went through a lot of abuse as a kid and through a lot of trauma in his adulthood too. So life continued, not dealing with any of the secrets that I was holding deep inside of me, the trauma. I call it secrets because I always felt like I had a hand over my mouth, silencing me. So me and my new husband tried to get pregnant a couple of times, which sadly, devastatingly ended in several miscarriages. That was very hard to get through, and it crushed him. I felt like I had failed him. I had let him down, that it was my fault. Then one day, we signed up to be foster parents, and we got the call for a baby girl. And this baby girl ended up being my family member, a niece. We loved her so much. She was a hands-on baby, fussy, but we didn't care. We had so much love to give her. She was such a miracle. And now she's ours. So when she turned 3 years old, we knew something was wrong when she was an infant, but we didn't know what it was. We thought it was maybe withdrawals from drug abuse, but she got diagnosed with autism, sensory processing disorder, seizure disorder. Not long after we got her, I became very ill. I didn't didn't know what was going on with my body. I was in chronic pain all the time. I had so many health issues. I was tired all the time. And years into the marriage, it became a strain on me. I came to find out that my new husband, he was abusive. He had abusive tendencies. He said very mean, cold things to my children and me. I tried to talk about it with many people. Went to counseling. And there was a day that he choked me. He choked me so bad that I urinated on myself. I was so scared. He put holes in the wall a couple of times. This was all many, many years ago. And finally I stood up for myself. I had to. I'm still trying to heal. I'm still getting counseling. And I will tell you, my great counselor is Jesus Christ. Through prayer, through God working in me to forget about what happened to me and forgive people and extend grace to others like He did us, it's helping me to heal. And also, my current husband has repented and gave his life over to God. He has never laid a hand on me since, and he doesn't talk very bad to me like he used to. That's all gone away, thank to God. So, ladies and gentlemen, people, if you're hearing me, women, ladies out there, men out there, anybody can change. God can change anybody. Anybody. So I ask you today, if you've had a life of heartache and trauma, come to Jesus, give it to Him. I promise you, He will take that all away, and He will fill your heart, your life with love, peace, and understanding. And He will never forsake you. He will never leave you. He never left me. So I pray and I ask in the name of Jesus that if you are seeking to give your life over to God, I pray that you do so and you have faith and trust in Him. You join a Bible-believing church, read your Bible, be around Christians, people that are hungry for the Lord, and you will be healed from this. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope I have inspired anybody out there. Thank you. And I'm praying for everyone that's out there that's struggling.